the atom, right? So before we actually look into the atom, I want to break this down a little bit different for you. Because I know I was always like super good at like reading, writing, language arts, those kind of things. So hopefully this will help you out a little bit. So let's look at the actual word atom, right? So if I write out the word atom, that is a word, right? We can all agree that atom is a word. Now, if I only want to look at the A from the atom, right, then I would say that A is a letter, correct? Now, if I want to break this down any further, right, then I would end up with 3 lines. So to end up with a line here, another line here, and another line here, right? So then we end up with lines. Now, let's explain this in terms of the atom, right? So the atom is the smallest unit of matter, and atoms cannot be broken down into any further and maintain its identity. Just as we have the word atom here that was broken down to a smaller bit, which would be this right here, would be our atom. The word here would be our element. I can't write any further, but you see what I'm trying to say. It would be my element, right? And let's see. Okay. And then these lines. So notice how now I just have 3 lines. So that means it's no longer recognizable. That means these right here are actually my subatomic particles. And these here are what make up our letters or make up our atoms to create our elements or our words, right? So kind of keep that in mind, how things just kind of stack on top of each other like that. So the best way that I can explain this to you is in a house, right? So let's talk about what this atom is and how we can best kind of explain this to ourselves, right? So the best way that I can think of this is think of a house, right? Sorry, I'm not an artist. All right, so we have our house here, and inside of our house, we have our protons, and we have our neutrons. And these are both located inside of the house. So inside of the nucleus, right? And let's break this out a little bit more. So now we have the outside area, right? And outside is where we're going to find our electrons. Okay? So notice that this picture doesn't look that different from this picture, right? So we have our protons and our neutrons located inside, and we have our electrons located on the outside, just as we have them located here. We have our protons and neutrons on the inside, and our electrons are on the outside. So let's discuss what each of these are. So we have protons. Protons are going to be our positively charged particles, right? And then our neutrons are actually no charge. So they are not positive nor negative, they are neutral. So you think of a neutron as neutral, it's a neutral atom, which means if I have a positive, so let's say I have like a +1, I have a positive inside the house, and I have something that is no charge, so that would be a 0 inside of the house, what would my total charge be? Well, my total charge inside the nucleus would be +1 or totally positive, right? Now, to balance this off, we have electrons, right? So my electrons actually are a negative, are negatively charged. So we're looking here at like a -1, right? And now this is how we end up with what we like to call neutral atoms. So a neutral atom is one that has been neutralized. You have a +1 to -1, that's going to give me 0. So I have a totally stable neutral atom here. You'll hear me say that a lot more as we move on. So your electrons again, outside. And keep in mind too that your electrons are really tiny, so they don't carry most of the mass. Most of your mass is going to come from your protons and your neutrons. So your protons and your neutrons together, get another color. Your proton and neutron together are going to be your atomic mass. And your protons by themselves make up your total atomic number, which we'll be discussing more later. Another way to remember this, right here, is PIN. So this pin means that your proton is in the nucleus. I don't know if that's helpful or not to you, but this is available. So you have PIN, proton in nucleus. And remember, your electron is outside of the nucleus in the electron cloud.